Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the OCNJ Local, your podcast for everything happening here in America's greatest family resort. We're your hosts, Dominick Dougherty and Drew Fasy.
And we are your local guys.
What's up, buddy? How are you?
I'm good, man. It's February. It's
The
not
end of February.
it's not June, July, August, or September. It's February. So I'm okay.
Yeah, man, we're less than 100 days to Memorial Day now.
Do you know the number?
I don't, and I can't Google it at this point, but I know it's less than 100 because I saw someone come out saying 98 the other day.
It's 96 days until Memorial Day. That's 3 months
before the show.
3 months and less than a week. That, my friend, is good stuff. That is good stuff. We're through. I wouldn't say we're through the worst of it, but we're through.
No, March has always got a sneaker in there for us.
Yeah, March sucks.
Daylight savings coming though. It's about to start again.
Days are getting longer. Days are definitely getting longer.
Spring forward here in a couple weeks, and then it's all downhill from there. All downhill from there.
Yes,
we
sir.
kind of had we had President's Day weekend last weekend. That's, if you ask me, that's like the unofficial start to spring. That's when people start to all right, start coming down, start getting out a little bit more. My buddy at the gym said that we have our first 60 degree day on the forecast next week. So
wait a minute. President's Day weekend is the start to spring?
The unofficial start to spring. Unofficial. Yeah, the town's definitely
Dominick Dougherty. That is the mother of wishful thinking.
I mean, there were a lot of people in town,
and I applaud you, my friend.
It was busy this past weekend.
That's awesome. It was busy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like spring, like people start to come out. They're kind of over the holiday hangover. That's gone now. People are like, all right, let's start doing something new. Got a little bit of a weekend. People come out. People are around. It was busy.
I'm sorry. I thought you were referring to weather.
No, I'm just talking to it's starting. People are getting out of their house. They're hibernating. Some of the early risers are waking up from their winter hibernation and coming out.
Yeah, certainly nobody's starting the power washing yet, though.
No, definitely not. I need to do that to my house this year bad. I need a power wash. If any power washers out there want to trade some shout outs for power wash, let me know.
I'm going to throw it out there. So I wasn't planning on it, but I'm going to throw it out there. Matt Lane, he's a teacher at the intermediate school. Matt's a good dude, and he has a power washing business that he runs during the summer, or spring, summer, fall, weekends during the summer, and afternoons weekends in the spring. And Matt's a great guy. So if you're looking for a power washer, Dom, Matt's your dude.
I'll tell him you sent me. Maybe he'll charge me double for that.
He might.
A good chance, for sure. So, Drew, you got any shout outs for us this week?
I do have some shout outs. I do. So, first shout out, Ian Crowley, 18-year-old OCHS senior, achieved the rank of Eagle Scout. If you know, Eagle Scout is very difficult to achieve. Takes a lot of time, a lot of hard work. For Ian's project, he created a series of posters that have QR codes that lead you to complete a self-guided tour of the life-saving station here, 4th and Atlantic, which is kind of cool.
Nice.
So becoming an Eagle Scout is not easy. Takes, not just the project, it's years of dedication to the Boy Scouts. So congrats, Ian. Ian's a kid that he's Terry Crowley, a first ward councilman's son, and I coached him in both football and hockey. And Ian's a real good kid, a really bright kid. I think Ian's on his way somewhere. We'll see where. So congrats, Ian. Second shout out is to OCHS senior Corey Segich, who became a member of the 1,000 plus scoring club in basketball. Corey's the 15th boy and the 26th basketball player in school history to score more than 1,000 points.
Awesome.
So, yep. Lisa Foglio holds the record for most points in school history with 1,970 points. Think about that. That's close to 500 points a season for 4 consecutive years. Pretty amazing.
Yeah, you're only playing, what, 25 games?
If that, yeah, with playoffs, yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. So congrats to Corey. Final shout out is to the Ocean City Housing Authority and the City of Ocean City for the construction of 10 low to moderate income housing units. 5 duplexes, all nearing completion. They're located on the 200 block of Simpson. There's 2 at 3rd and Haven, and there's 2 at 3300 Bay Avenue, the site of the old American Legion site on Bay Ave. I mentioned this before, Dom. Ocean City is in, so those units help Ocean City meet their state mandated number of low to moderate income housing. But as I mentioned before, I think the need for low and moderate income housing in Ocean City is an existential crisis. And I mentioned that my opinion is that we should build an apartment building on the newly acquired Per Egan site, but that's a different subject. But I just wanted to give it a shout out to the Housing Authority for moving forward with these projects and getting 10 new units for low to moderate income families to move into Ocean City. My understanding is that there were very few, it's shocking to me, honestly, but there were very few Ocean City residents who applied. Really shocking to me, but that's what I heard. So we're going to have
see that,
families in town, or 10 families staying in town, however it shakes out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very good.
And the buildings are nice. I don't know if you've seen them, but they're, duplexes like we see all over the place.
Yeah, no, I saw pictures of them in the daily. They do look like nice homes.
Yeah.
Nicer than my house.
No, your house is a home, my friend.
That's true.
Your house is a home.
I still got some of that old Ocean City charm.
You do. It's nice.
Yeah.
You have
Not
a nice
much
house.
of it left. Not much of it left. Well, we're going to take a quick break.
What year was your house built, Dom? Do you know?
Probably around the same time you were born, like 1955.
If I had one of those balloons right now, it would be X-rated. My house was built in after I was born in 1967. So I have, what would be considered not an old home, but for Ocean City, it's an older home.
It's practically an antique, both of our houses.
Yeah.
We should get in the historical society, since pretty much every house around me is, 3 years old.
Same here. Same here.
So
It's funny. So in my working life, I bought and sold a lot of properties, had rental properties, and all that. Never developed a new home. Always remodeled. I
well,
owned a house on it was a triplex, but really it was a house with a couple units behind it on West Avenue. That was built in 1911, I think. I think it
that's
was
cool.
1911. And when I bought it, it was kind of a dump, had been a rental. And all the neighbors came over. Are you tearing this down? Are you tearing this down? I'm like, no, I'm not tearing it down. Same with this house. Everybody asked me if I was tearing it down. Always remodeled, never built. No, I just have a penchant for older homes, and you can make them not new, but you can give them a new life. I gave
No,
this house.
I would have never thought your house was built in the 60s. Definitely not.
Yeah, I gave it another 50 years, man.
That you did.
And it's solid. I mean, they don't they're not built today the way they were back in the 60s.
I'll agree with that because I've seen quite a few go up recently, and you could see me. I'm making a face.
Yeah, well, just the lumber itself, the lumber is not as solid as it was back then. The old growth lumber was just more solid.
You would know. You were probably out there chopping down some of those trees to build your house when you were a young lad.
There goes
Sure.
that balloon again over my head with the X-rated thoughts.
Out there, like the old time cartoon, like you and your brother each had the end of the saw going back and forth, just like that, right?
Is
Is
my
that how it
nose
worked?
real long like this? Yeah.
Maybe. So, but no, we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll get into our topic for the day: e-bikes and their emergence here in Ocean City, and what it means for the town and all the visitors. So stick with us. We'll be right back. All right, everyone, we are back, and the title of this show is "This Hog Gets 50 Miles to the Gallon." Drew, do you know what I'm referencing here?
I do not, sir.
Oh man, see, that's a my generation movie. It's a quote from Dumb and Dumber, fitting for our podcast here. Have you ever even seen that movie, Drew?
I have. It's awesome.
Oh,
It's
good.
it's
Well, then you
fantastic.
remember the part where he rides back on the little moped and he says this hog gets 50 miles to the gallon, and it's not Lloyd, it's Harry. Harry goes, just when you can't be any stupider, you go and do something like this and totally redeem yourself.
I
So
do remember that now, but I couldn't place it. Yeah,
yes, this hog
that's
gets
great.
50 miles to the gallon. But no, man, e-bikes, they've hit Ocean City hard in the past 2 years. We first had golf carts, and now it seems like then we had scooters for a hot second, and then e-bikes have emerged on the scene, and I feel they are here to stay. Um,
For sure.
and It's crazy because it's not just with golf carts you majorly have to have a license to drive these around. Um, with e-bikes though, anybody can get one. My son asks me for an e-bike every day, and I say no, you don't need an e-bike. Um, because they're motor vehicles. They go fast. They go 25, 30 miles an hour.
So, okay, let's talk specs first. All right. So there's classifications of motorized bicycles. You have a class 1, class 2, and class 3. Class 3 is a moped, as you mentioned a minute ago. And to drive a moped, you have to be at least 15 years old and you have to have a license to operate it. So that's a higher wattage bike and a higher speed bike. Okay. Class
No,
1 and class 2
okay.
are the low speed electric bicycles. Um, uh, and they're just separated by class 1 is provides assistance only when the rider is pedaling, and class 2 is a motor that may be used exclusively of uh,
The pedals.
if the rider is pedaling.
Okay.
Both of them have a maximum speed of 20 miles an hour um, by law.
Mhm.
I think you and I and most people would think and probably know that I think they actually go faster than 20 miles an hour. And
Definitely.
they have a maximum uh, watt motor of 750 watts. And most e-bike manufacturers offer models that are 750 watt motors and an advertised speed of 20 miles an hour. Okay. Which is what my son has, which is now I have because he's in college.
He
But
didn't bring that out there with him?
no, he didn't. He did not.
That's crazy. I would totally bought that out there. That would have been fun to whip around in the mountains.
Yeah, I hid it from him the day he moved because I wanted it.
So you stole it from him
Basically.
covertly.
Well, I bought it. So did I steal it?
Well, you gave it to him,
This is
I
true.
would
This
assume.
is true.
So then, yes, you did steal it from him. But I don't know. That's a vague
So
area because I do that all the time with my kid too. Like, well, I bought it, so
it's mine, right?
yeah.
Well, and possession is 9/10 of the law, and I have it, so it's mine.
There you go.
So
Aiden, I tried. If you're
e-bikes
listening, I
are,
tried.
e-bikes are uh, an important form of transportation today, right? They've become a primary mode of transportation for some people, um,
Yeah.
because they provide transport for people with limited limitations, physical limitations, based on age, fitness levels, injuries, disabilities. Right? They're popular among people who can't get a driver's license for whatever reason or lost their driver's license. Right?
Mhm.
Um, uh, they save on gas, they save on parking, they save on car payments, they save on repairs, they save on fees. Um,
Don't need e-bike insurance, I'm sure, in the state of New Jersey.
yeah, probably. But there's
Don't.
a lot of people out there who can't afford cars, can't get a car, can't, it's mostly affordability, right? And allows people to, if you live in Summers Point or Egg Harbor Township, and your job is in Ocean City, just as an example, and you can't afford a car or you can't get a driver's license, an e-bike is a great alternative. So they're not the devil, right? There's a lot of upsides in it. If you're a senior and you want to be out and about, but can't necessarily ride a bike that well for whatever physical reason, an e-bike is a great alternative, right?
No,
Um,
I'm not saying they're bad. I think the biggest concern that I have with them, especially in Ocean City, is that while they're good for adults that can't get licenses or, don't want a car, can't drive, need some transportation, it seems that on the island, it's being adopted a lot more by kids who aren't of age to drive yet. Kids who are 15, 16, even younger, 12,
Even
13,
younger, sure,
14.
14,
You
yeah.
know, you have kids who are whipping around on these bikes, and, you know, they don't necessarily understand that they have to follow the traffic laws too. I live on 8th Street. If I had $1 for every time a kid came from the Acme and whipped right onto, believe it's Haven Avenue right there, without even looking at 8th Street, I would be a rich man and we wouldn't be here. Um, and that's my biggest concern with it is, I would love to get my son an e-bike. I would love for him to be able to go and ride to his friends' houses and do whatever he needed to do. For as bike friendly as Ocean City is, it's still very dangerous out there on the roads.
Well, to that end, so e-bikes were responsible for over 30% of all fatal bicycle accidents last year. And
In
uh,
Ocean City or in
no. This is U.S. stats,
okay.
so it's not an Ocean City specific issue. They have become super popular in the United States.
Yeah.
I don't know about other countries, but all over they become super popular in the U.S. So that stat is based on U.S. statistics. 30% of all fatal bicycle accidents were e-bikes, and it's estimated that emergency room visits involving e-bikes more than doubled between 2017 and 2021. So that's a huge, 30% plus is a huge percentage of fatalities, right? So that kind of gives you an idea of how many users there are now. And I agree. I think the problem is that number one, you have awareness of bicycle safety of in the 16 and below age range is probably minimal, right? Stopping at stop signs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right?
Yeah, you're not classified as a pedestrian when you're on a bike.
No, you're not.
You are considered a
Motor
motor
vehicle.
vehicle.
You're
Yeah,
considered a motor
you
vehicle.
can. So if you're under 16 and you're doing this, you can get a DUI on a bike. You can't
And
on a skateboard
how
or a horse, but you can on a bike.
That's right.
So
So how knowledgeable of the traffic laws are 13, 14, and 15-year-old kids, right? Minimally.
yeah,
Right? Um, I think that's a big problem. The other problem is you always have a small percentage of the population in anything that you talk about, in any issue. There's always a percentage of the population who um, just ignores the rules and regs, right? And are problems, So that's what we saw a lot of. Are these
sound like you're
kids?
speaking
There's
from experience there, Drew.
Sure, absolutely. I was a ne'er do well at age 16.
I thought I
But
was well at age
we
60,
all
but
encountered it in Ocean City, where you'd be driving down West Avenue, and you'd have a group of 5 or 6 kids on e-bikes, and they'd be on both lanes of traffic and cutting in and out, and kind of goading drivers into hitting them or road rage or whatever they were trying to do. They were just uh, being little punks on their bikes and on their e-bikes. And the e-bikes, the difference is obviously the speed, right? On a bike, you're going to be a punk at 10 miles an hour. On an e-bike, you're going to be a punk at double the speed.
so the city has come out, and there are right now. We gave them a shout out earlier. They're encouraging kids to wear their helmets. Last year when one of the councilman's sons had an accident on the e-bike, he got pretty banged up. They had a big push to wear helmets with their e-bikes and stuff like that. I'm just putting this out there, not to tell anybody to do their job or anything. I would encourage you guys to go in and talk to these 6th, 7th, 8th graders about bike safety and about the rules and following the rules, and maybe issue a warning or two, or station house correction, if you will, for when you see these kids doing this kind of stuff, just to set the tone. And know that it's not like to pick on you; it's just for your safety. Because when the summertime comes and it gets busy, you know, there's a lot of people out here on vacation who can't figure out that the island goes from, First Street to 60th Street in order going up, and they're trying to figure out their way. They're on vacation. Their minds are elsewhere. And if you're speeding around on your e-bike, you're setting yourself up for disaster, potential
Yeah,
disaster.
they did. The OCPD did a kind of a positive campaign starting in January. And we talked about this before, where they
Yeah.
rewarded kids for doing the right thing, wearing their helmets and that kind of thing. But I think you're right. Hey, I'm old school, Dom. I think it should be scared straight. I think the cops should go into the schools and get these kids who have e-bikes into a room and just yell in their face and bring them down to the jail.
It's 2024, Drew. It doesn't work that way anymore.
Scare straight doesn't work with
Unfortunately, no.
e-bike riders. All right,
No, definitely not.
sorry.
So when we proposed this topic, I just got to thinking about this, and I got to thinking about Ocean City and riding our bikes, and my son, he's asking more and more now. Hey, Dad, can I ride my bike around in the summer? Can I go out and go to my friend's house? Can I cross 9th Street? And I'm like, oh, dude, I don't know about this. You're still young. You're still not really paying attention to everything all the time.
Betty's
God forbid,
11, right?
yeah,
Betty's
God forbid you
11.
get a text message, mid 9th Street, you're going to stop in the middle and check it because
Right.
you have to. And I know we have Haven, and Haven's kind of like the bike road in Ocean City, and that's great, and it works well. It's definitely gotten me down the island a few times with my kids on their bikes. However, there's nothing on Haven, and Haven, you still got to get across West, and I don't know, it just doesn't seem to work. So what if we did this? And this is my cockamamie proposal here. You got Central.
Now you have me on edge. I am, I was involved in developing Haven Avenue as the north-south bike route back in the day.
Okay.
So now you have me like on edge, like what is Dom's big idea? I'm ready, man.
So you got Central. You got Central and either in Wesley or I would even say Asbury. Central and Asbury, because they go pretty far down. They go from 5th Street all the way to 60th Street. What if you make those, say, Central? Central, you can only go south, and Asbury, you can only go north. And half of it is for bikes, and the other half is for cars. So you have essentially just one lane of traffic for cars, and you have one lane of traffic that's all for bicycles on those roads.
So all right, so let's say that Asbury.
I'd say Asbury should go south. Asbury should go south.
So cars will take up the current southbound lane, and bicycles can head south in the current northbound lane.
Correct.
And then Central would be the opposite.
Correct. And there you go. You're central to town. People are moving through. It's a safe thoroughfare for everybody. My biggest concern was what do you do with parking on the side where the bikes are? Because people are going to want to park, and parking, as we saw in the last, is like everyone's major concern here in Ocean City is not having enough parking. I think though, if you had a safe place for everybody to ride their bike that was relatively close to town, and maybe we don't start this till like 14th Street or somewhere along those lines, because in that downtown area, you do have a lot going on. Especially with the shops in Asbury, like that might be counterproductive to have it in that area. But say from like 14th, 15th Street on, 15th Street South, you have these two bike lanes where people can get on their bike and cruise, and they're pretty safe. But I think it should go. I think it should go more from 5th on.
So so Dom, when I was involved in the biking, so it started with the Mayor's Advisory Council on Physical Fitness and Sports, and I was on that board, involved in trying to better the safe biking through town. And there was people had some really good ideas, and I always learned to listen and appreciate the ideas, because that's a good idea. That really is a good idea. But then you'd have the naysayers, right?
Oh, of course.
And yeah, and at the end of the day, you and I can agree that that's a good idea.
But it's probably not going to work because of the parking.
Maybe the parking is the issue. But I think the bigger issue is that thinking outside the box is the issue. I'm being very honest with you. Thinking outside the box is really the issue.
Yeah,
like when you get the Ocean City traffic, what's that department? The traffic control unit? Is that what they are? No, that doesn't sound right.
I don't know.
But the traffic, they're very specific about things. And if you talk about taking Asbury Avenue, the length of the island, and having it basically one way, minds are blown. Brain matter is being splattered all over the ceiling.
Yeah, but I mean, if you think about that, though, like, say you're renting a house down in the 18 to 34 section of town. How much easier would it be to hop on your bike with your family and ride safely down the road? You might alleviate a lot of the parking problems because people are more likely to take a bike ride than they are to drive down that far, because it's safer.
100% agree. The value of increasing the bikeability in Ocean City is off the charts. The charts. That's what people want. I mean, if we had, if we could blow up the island and rebuild, bikeability would be probably in the top 3 from a priority standpoint, right? People don't want to come to Ocean City and drive. They want to walk, and they want to bike. If they can,
or they want to take their golf cart nowadays.
Well, nowadays, I think that's fallen off a little bit. I think that
I don't know. I think it's just starting. I think it's kind of.
Yeah, I think it's past the peak.
It's going to come back. I think.
But the walk. Excuse me a second. Bless me. If when people come to the shore from Philly and surround the greater Philadelphia area, man, they want to park that car, and they want to walk to the beach, to the boardwalk, and ride their bikes. And so the walkability and rideability in town would be, again, I think it would be top 3 on the priority list, no question about it.
Well, there's still time. There's still some things we can do, to improve it. That's for sure. With the summer fast approaching, we all got to be a little more mindful of everybody out there on their bikes.
So the bottom line is, so the city at one point last in June, right around the same time that the city was cracking down on the hostile youths, on the beach, the city introduced an ordinance prohibiting e-bikes on the boardwalk. Do you remember that?
I thought
It
that
was
got overturned.
it did. It was an ordinance that was introduced. Um, and the public came out um, and really in force, and mostly it was older people who, you know, ride their e-bikes because of age related issues or physical disabilities, and they were really against it, and it was also viewed as potentially discriminatory towards handicapped individuals. So they tabled that, and I think the takeaway now from the administration and the city council is that e-bikes are here. They're here to stay. We need to educate, right? And we need to be responsible, but we can't um, legislate e-bikes away. That's that's
No,
just that's just not something that is palatable to the public.
definitely
We're
not.
not going to legislate them away. So we have to be that we, being parents, right, and and the police need to be diligent in education and enforcement, right? Like if if Benny were to get an e-bike, you just can't hand him an e-bike. That's irresponsible almost as a parent, right? You have to educate him on
So,
the
what kind of
rules.
education did you give
And,
Aiden when you gave him the e-bike?
so this is going to sound really freaking cheesy, but when Aiden learned to ride a bike, he got um, daddy's bike camp. Right. I taught him how to ride a bike. I took him down to Tennessee Avenue on the baseball fields, and then we moved into the parking lot and then onto Tennessee Avenue, which is fairly low traffic. It was daddy's bike camp. When he got the e-bike, he got daddy's bike camp part two. And it was for real. There is a difference between, I don't know how fast do you ride on a cruiser? 6 miles an hour,
7,
eight
8 miles
miles
an
an hour.
hour.
Yeah. There's a difference when you're doing 20. And I don't buy 20. You're going faster than 20 on those e-bikes.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
think I think they're advertising 20 to fit the
Class 2.
legislation. Yeah, but I think you're going faster.
Yeah.
Um, there's a real difference there. Um, so I was pretty strict with how he was introduced and kind of let loose on those things. And
When
I
I
think that's a parent's, man, when you set a kid loose on an e-bike, if you just set him loose, you're doing that kid a disservice, man. You gotta educate them.
No, for
25
sure.
miles an hour on an e-bike is no freaking joke.
No. So, it's up to us as a community, and everyone in 96 days when you start to come visit, keep an eye out for the kids on the e-bikes. They're out there. They're not going anywhere. If you're on the boardwalk and you got an e-bike, be respectful because there are little kids learning how to ride a bike there for the first time. Why people decide to teach their kid how to ride their bike on a Saturday, on the 4th of July weekend on the boardwalk still blows my mind. They do it though. So if you're up there
Because
and you're
that's
on
the
your,
day the Airbnbers have free, Dom.
hey man, listen, just, if you're on the boardwalk and you're on your e-bike, be respectful. It is not the Autobahn. Uh, it is not. So
Anywhere.
yeah,
Be
anywhere,
respectful. Yeah.
mind the rules and do the right thing. And when you're out there driving, keep an extra eye out. Uh, there are kids, there are community. They could be kids from your community too, because the Airbnbers, the renters, the day trippers, some of them bring their bikes. So
There's somebody's kid.
Somebody's kid, definitely, no matter how old they are. All right, Drew. Well, until next time, everyone. This has been the OCNJ Local, your podcast for everything happening here in America's greatest family resort. We're your hosts, Dominick Dougherty and Drew Fasy.
Before I say it, Dom, I gotta give you a shout out, man. You're just killing with the pointing. You're just killing with the pointing in the right direction. I gotta give you props, my friend. You're just
Hey,
killing it.
if you if your computer ever gets out of the Stone Age, maybe we can upload these to YouTube here.
We are your local guys.